And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from NGC Studios. Great to be back for another Saturday night here. Sorry we're starting the show a bit late tonight. There were some electrical storms in the area, and we got a brief surge, which shut down the Wi-Fi for a bit, shut down the internet, and then, it kind of came back on its own. So thankfully, not too big of a disruption, but that's why we're starting a bit late tonight. So apologies, but I would like to thank everyone for joining me here tonight. Contact info as usual. If you would like to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SamW_NDC, hashtag Whitfield Report, on Parler and Gab, and sometimes Minds at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/Whitfield Report, thesamwhitfield.com, which I'm still doing updates, but we do have some updated content on there, so that's good. And as always, if you would like to subscribe to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. And please leave us a 5-star rating and review over there. And also, I am multi-streaming on both DLive and Periscope. So welcome to the DLive people as well. Thank you for watching, and welcome to the Periscope crowd as well. Joining me live, as always, is the co-host of the Whitfield Report, Mr. Apex Gamma. How are you doing, Mr. Gamma?
I am doing well, Sam. Good evening, everybody. Thanks again for having me. Thanks for joining us, guys.
And
how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. And let's see who's in the chat. So far we have Warfist and Saucin on who says Sam just wanted a longer intro than Semper. Well, that isn't entirely untrue there, ma'am. I do admire Semper. Although he has kind of become more sporadic with his streaming schedule now. I know he had his birthday celebration stream, which I missed because I had to take care of some registration stuff for classes this semester, which was a nightmare, and I was on the phone well into that evening, believe it or not. So, anyway, but glad to be here and whatnot. So, we have a jam-packed show for everyone tonight. I'm not sure if the links are going to load up on screen properly. I'm still having issues with some of those, but, well, let me just let me just say that Apex has been right about all of things so far. Most notably, folks, I've always kind of known that China is a bigger threat to our country than Russia or even, I guess, the war on terror. But Apex is really the one who did bring it back to kind of the forefront of my mind, and, so props to Apex.
You found some scary shit? Is that what you're saying, Sam? You found some scary shit?
Yeah, I mean...
yeah.
Yeah. And, what's interesting about that is I actually, when I was a kid, growing up, I actually went to a Chinese medical doctor and an acupuncturist for years and years and years, because Western medicine, for the disability I have, doesn't really do shit to put it bluntly. In fact, it will cripple, in my opinion at least. I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't, I can't legally say this as an expert, but in my opinion, quote unquote, Western medicine in some cases will cripple a disabled person more than Chinese medicine. So I actually had a Chinese acupuncturist growing up as a kid who grew up during the era of Mao and who managed to get out. And when he was a kid with his family, he grew up in China partially, but then grew up as a teenager here, and then went back to China to get his Chinese, medical practitioner license, and then came here to start practice. And I mean, long story short, this was back in the late '90s and early 2000s when I was seeing him, and he said even back then to my mom that China, just because Mao may be dead, and just because they might not appear as communist, doesn't mean that they're any less communist than they were back in the 50s and 60s. So
no, that's like the scariest part is when you actually read. I mean, it's so hard to get real info, which is why things like the Epoch Times or Epoch Times, however you pronounce it, who are actually, they have a base in China that's been set on fire several years, but they get real insiders and real information, and there's other sources inside of China, but it's really hard to get accurate information. Obviously, with the whole CCP virus, we know how that works with China. Somehow China ended up with less infections than us and shit. Whatever those crazy numbers were, but beyond that, like the things that they openly admit, like their three warfares doctrine, I believe it's called, and their they have, I was telling my friend earlier about in 2016 and actually since 2016, there's been this rhetoric of Russian troll farms that got President Trump elected and posted, right-wing white supremacist memes all over the internet or whatever, just Russian troll farms, basically, right? That subverted our election. That's kind of the narrative, right?
yeah,
I mean, you would agree with that?
yeah, that
Well, there's actually a military branch of the Chinese Communist Party with like thousands of soldiers that sit at a computer, that their job on paper, admittedly, is to engage in internet warfare. So, and I never even heard of that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, I assumed it was a thing in Russia as it is here. There's white hats, there's black hats, there's that shit's real, but like it's an actual branch of their military. So yeah, when it starts to get kind of bizarre when it gets to like the organ harvesting and the independent tribunals that have found it to be like fact that they've harvested thousands of organs from minorities and oppressed religious groups. Fucking thousands of people. It's insane, man. It really scares me, but I honestly, I think that we'll see the end of it. It'll be another Iron Curtain fall for the world to see the horrors behind.
I sure as hell hope so. Apex.
Well, I mean, God is kind of punishing all of China right now with some like biblical level natural disasters, and the Three Gorges Dam, which is the largest hydroelectric plant in the world, which was dubious from its onset, is I mean, barely dozens of meters under its absolute limit, and it's already, admittedly by Chinese Communist Party scientists, that it's deforming. And I mean, there's millions and millions of people in that path. And, again, this is another thing you can't really, there's no official information. You're not seeing news reports because you have to find like local shit, and you have to know the outlets that are reporting from these people that live there. Again, like the Epic Times is the best that I can quote off the top of my head. But there's some pretty decent YouTube channels, but most of them cite the Epic Times.
Yeah.
So when you
Well,
see like the floods in China right now look like the tsunamis in Japan in 2011. Like there are fucking whole homes like being swept away and shit. It's wild, man. And I don't know. I just don't think I my heart goes out to the Chinese people for real, because the Chinese people don't deserve the communism and the oppression that's been wrought upon them. But with the seizure of Hong Kong, Australia, and the United States and Japan all teaming up, there's some pieces moving, man. And I don't know. I don't know. It stresses me out, but it's also fascinating to watch because everything's typically funny to me. So
yeah,
watching chess pieces across the globe move and try to find it funny while people are dying and shit like that, it can be taxing, but
yeah, it really is
only for a minute.
it really is kind of interesting. And I actually have an article from the Epoch Times up right now that I want to read, and you might have seen this, Apex, but I just
Please
saw
read it,
this when I was prepping, and I kind of found interesting. So, headline: China prefers Trump doesn't win a second term, according to intelligence officials. Kremlin-linked actors are seeking to boost Trump, supposedly.
Wait, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, does not want President Donald Trump to win re-election in November, according to a new intelligence assessment. Quote, we assess that China prefers that President Trump, who Beijing sees as unpredictable, does not win re-election, William Ivanina, director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, said in a statement on Friday. The CCP is working hard to influence the election in policy arguments, including putting pressure on elected officials and candidates party leaders view as being opposed to China's interests. The Trump administration's increasingly hardline stance against China, including its forced closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston. What? We have a consulate in Houston? I did not know that. Has led to...
Not any fucking more, we don't.
Thank God. Has led to an increase in criticism against the administration, according to Ivanina. Quote, although China will continue to weigh the risks and benefits of aggressive action, its public rhetoric over the past few months has grown increasingly critical of the current administration's COVID-19 response, closure of China's Houston consulate, and on other issues, he said. For example, it has harshly criticized the administration's statements and actions on Hong Kong, TikTok, the legal status of the South China Sea, and China's efforts to dominate the 5G market. Beijing recognizes that all of these efforts might affect the presidential race. Skipping that. In the past few months, the Trump administration has quickened its actions, countering an array of threats to security and freedom posed by the CCP. These include sanctioning officials over rights abuses in the region of Xinjiang, and crushing freedoms in Hong Kong and barring U.S. transactions with the Chinese owners of apps TikTok and WeChat on national security grounds. Presidential candidate Joe Biden, meanwhile, has also taken a tough stance on China. He has also run campaign ads criticizing Trump for allegedly rolling over for the Chinese in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I mean, honestly, those are Joe's campaign people who are doing that, because let's face it, Biden himself is stuck in a basement somewhere, probably hooked up to, machinery just to keep him alive and, whatnot. The guy does not work well.
He's going to debate. He's going to debate, right? He agreed to debate. That's supposedly going to happen.
Yeah, but then did you see today that, like, I guess he was like trying to pick. I guess he was like trying to say that he picked his nominee, and the Democrat Party was like, "Are you sure you want to pick this person?" So
Really?
they're panicking.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't have time to pull it up, but maybe I can later. But anyway,
that's good stuff.
Back to the article. With regard to Russia, intelligence officials say that the country is using a variety of measures to denigrate Joe Biden, the former vice president and presumptive Democrat presidential nominee. I mean, Hillary said the same thing, and it wasn't true. This is, quote, "This is consistent with Moscow's public criticism of him when he was vice president for his role in the Obama administration's policies on Ukraine and its support for the anti-Putin opposition inside Russia," Evanina said. For example, pro-Russia Ukrainian parliamentarian Andrei Darkov is spreading claims of corruption, including through publishing linked phone calls to undermine former Vice President Biden's candidacy in the Democrat Party. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also assisting to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media and Russian television. Which is funny to me because I don't think we get Russian television over here.
Well, now they call RT, which technically I guess is funded by the Russian government. But even back in the early 2000s, I guess the late 2000s, early 2010s, like if you wanted real news about what was going on in this country, you got it from Russia Today, especially about corrupt politicians and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say that there's no propaganda. As that you can't say that about any news corporation, especially not a government-funded news corporation. But it was much easier to follow the truth, in particular about, again, corruption and stuff like that.
Well, the funny thing, Apex, is I was on a stream last night with a guy by the name of Radically Moderate. He's the Moon Ninja guy in my Discord, by the way, that you saw, and I was on his stream last night, and we were talking all this stuff, and I pointed out to him that, like, back in 2012 when Mitt Romney brought up, Russia, Obama literally laughed at him during the debate and said that, like, the 1980s called and wanted their foreign policy back or something like that. So
right, yeah, I remember that.
So I mean, it's funny that just like 7.5, 8 short years ago, they were all laughing at Russia, and now whenever there's anything related to Trump, oh, it must be Russia. So Let's see.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like kind of drives me nuts, because kind of the point I was trying to make earlier, because what they call Russia and have been calling Russia for years is almost certainly more China than it is Russia. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think Russia has nothing to do with it, but I don't think I don't know if I don't know. I don't know.
I know.
That's so confused. It's so fucking confusing, man. Like, it's so hard to get a beat on. All you can really do is follow your instincts, and even those aren't reliable, because who the fuck knows what information you're getting most of the time.
Yeah. So continuing on, it wasn't clear whether China preferred Trump or rival Hillary Clinton in 2016. Russian President Vladimir Putin said in 2018 that he had wanted Trump to win in 2016, which, again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Putin could just be voicing his opinion. The intelligence community says Iran is seeking to undermine Trump and American institutions and divide the country in advance of the November election, which I think Iran has been linked with China in a couple deals, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read. So, continuing on, Iran will probably focus its effort online, including spreading disinformation on social media, according to the assessment. China and Russia are also taking nefarious actions online. Tehran's motivation to conduct such activities is in part driven by the perception that President Trump's re-election would result in a continuation of U.S. pressure on Iran in an effort to foment regime change, Ivanova said. In a statement, Tim Murtaugh, the Trump campaign's communications director, said, quote, "The intelligence community's assessment that both China and Iran are trying to stop President Trump's re-election is concerning. But clearly, because he has held them both accountable after years of coddling by politicians like Joe Biden. The Trump administration has been tougher on Russia than any administration in history, imposing sanctions and expelling diplomats, in contrast with the Obama-Biden administration," he added. The Biden campaign did not respond to a request for comment. In a joint statement, Acting Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Marco Rubio and Mark Warner, the committee's ranking member, said the assessment highlights some of the serious and ongoing threats to our election from China, Russia, and Iran. Everyone from the voting public, local officials, and members of Congress needs to be aware of these threats, and all of us should endeavor to prevent outside actors from being able to interfere in our elections, influence our politics, and undermine confidence in our democratic institutions. They added, "Well, folks, I think it's a little too late for that. To be honest, and I'll get to why here in a sec. The lawmakers urged elected officials to refrain from weaponizing intelligence matters, claiming doing so would only further the divisive aims of our adversaries." Alright, so that's the end of this article.
Sorry. Yeah, I've actually got my hands full. I was moving some shit around. Yes, I am still here. Give me about 30 seconds.
Okay, man, cool. Let's see who's in the chat, because I see a couple people have popped in here since the stream started. So we have, let's see. We have, Davey. Hey, what's up, Davey? Let's see. We have Warfist. Great to, see you again, man. Just K. So, great. This stream then is actually in the feed. And, Alan.
Well, I shared it too.
So, oh, well, I really appreciate that, Apex, because, you know, I can't, I mean, I guess I can share this on Twitter, but no one really sees it anymore, unfortunately, so, and let me check
Well,
the...
I mean, Warfist and, well, I guess Warfist. Maybe Davey? No, Davey was in here before I tweeted it, so who knows? Warfist was too, so maybe I had no effect whatsoever. But I usually just invite people to come in and talk shit to me. That's mostly what I do.
Which I mean, I welcome people to come in and talk shit to me as well, and I really appreciate you sharing, and I really appreciate the fact that I guess I am actually on the page on the sub feed today, so that's always nice. But anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that article. Do you have like? Because I was kind of in and out. I got the gist of it, but can you kind of what's your summary? They don't want Donald Trump elected. That means that seems kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, I mean the summary is basically that China doesn't want you know, Trump to win, but then I guess according to some intelligence, you know, committees, Russia does, but we're not totally sure on that.
Well, again, that kind of seems obvious to me because Trump likes Putin, Trump likes Russia, and I mean, to be fair, Russia is kind of, I mean, outside of America, they're about as close to American. You know, all the crazy Russian videos. I feel like if America had the internet, like America was, you know, in the internet when we were a burgeoning nation, we probably would have some. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could broadcast all of our degenerates like you can now, because I feel like they're a little behind, say us, but I mean, I've never met a Russian that I didn't like in person.
No, me.
You know, there are lots of baddies in movies, and you know, I was born and raised in the '80s, so the Rusky Scare was a thing. But
yeah,
and that's why I have such an like I'm so offended by China because I was taught to dislike Russians. You know, if you know, I grew up in the deep south of Texas, and I never like I encountered racism, but I never like had a racist thought really, and I was never instilled any sort of racism other than Russians. Oddly enough, and the older I got, and you know, the few that I've met, the actual Russian nationals that I've met in person. Obviously, it's not a hashtag not all, but they're just generally good fucking people, as are most goddamn people on the planet that care about, you know, things that civilized humans care about, you know, but it was, you know, China's just seems the Chinese Communist Party. Anybody that identifies with communism in any degree, I take offense to, because this is fucking America.
No, I've actually met a couple Russians here in Florida in my time because for whatever reason, Russians love to come to Florida, and some of these, you know, rich Russian billionaires that have popped up since the end of the Cold War,
Well,
They have the money to fly over, here to the states, and they bring their daughters, who are usually very good looking, and then they go, shopping. So, who am I to complain about that? But most Russians I've met are extremely, polite. Granted, I'm not like hanging out with them constantly. I'm not the machine like Bert Kreischer is. So, I haven't I don't know them that well, but they're pretty pleasant people. Um, same with a lot of the Chinese Americans I've met, the ones that have immigrated here illegally. Um,
well, I will tell you that the Asians that I've met, and I mean as recently as like a couple of weeks ago, are some of the most hatefully racist fucking people I've ever met.
well, yeah,
Like vitriolically hateful of us, particularly other Asians. But if they have a prejudice of any kind, whether it be against women or another Asian or Pacific Island race, they are not shy about it. And it's like it's to the level where you're like, holy shit, how do people not talk about this? You know,
yeah,
in my experience anyway, which
yeah.
admittedly is not like it's not super vast, but it's still more than one, and more than 10, I'll say.
What's
Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not a good. Like we'll say 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10, something like that, to give it a better percentage. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, what's funny is a lot of there were actually a lot of Asians, well, not like a lot, but there was a pretty large percentage of like actual, Asians, not like Asian Americans, but actual like Asians in Denver, in the part where I lived. And I mean, my Chinese acupuncture doctor, who was very nice. A lot of them were very
Ooh, ooh,
racist,
ooh.
especially like towards each other. And I mean, obviously, I'm white, so I'm the devil, or whatever, anyway, right? But man,
Not the Asians, I don't think.
they had they had extreme vitriol for each other. I mean, it was the Vietnam, it was the Vietnamese versus the Chinese, versus everything.
Versus the Japanese, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean,
So
it's not a whole lot different than if you call a Cuban Mexican, or if you call a Puerto Rican Mexican, or you call a Mexican Puerto Rican, or something like. You know what I mean? I mean, racism is a
oh
thing. Like
yeah.
it doesn't always have to be what is portrayed now. I think people are allowed to be racist. You're allowed to be prejudiced as long as you don't, seek harm to others based on your prejudice. If you don't actively hurt people or inspire others to hurt people based on those principles, then who the fuck cares what you believe or what you think or what you say? You know.
Yeah, it's
But
it's and as far as these countries, you might have dipped out here when I read this part of the article, but one of the things in the article that I found interesting about China was that I just read was when I guess the Senate committee was saying that we shouldn't allow China to influence our elections and and undermine our society. Well, I think that's already happened, sort of, with all these protest movements.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's this is kind of a weird segue, but surely you're familiar, as I'm sure all of your listeners, both live and replay, are aware of the TikTok ban that's
Yeah,
making all the headlines, that Trump is TikTok and WeChat and something else, I think, that everyone's making a big fucking deal about. And especially China is making a big deal about. This is a blatant, smash and grab, or, they've said all kinds of just absurd rhetoric. But what people don't seem to remember, and I apparently am old enough to, and you probably are as well, but Google is banned in China. So is Facebook. So is several other American-based tech social media companies. They're banned. You can't use them, period. You know what I mean? Or they have modified versions that aren't what they, you know what I mean? That are catered to the Chinese Communist Party. And I remember that being a thing for Google. Do you remember that? Like back in, I don't even remember how fucking long ago it was.
Yeah, I remember reading about that. Well, and that's the whole thing. If we want to talk technology real quick, that's the whole discussion too with China's stealing intellectual property and whatnot, and basically like making clones of
Everything.
of everything.
Literally everything. Which is fucking a shame, and almost it's actually kind of pathetic, because China and just the Asian sector of the world historically, whether we're talking about like the telescope or gunpowder and fireworks and shit, like there's been so many amazing actual things created in that region of the world. And that's one of the arguments made nowadays, like, well, the Chinese have always been great at inventing things. Well, for the last 75 years or so, that's not been the case. They've literally stolen everything, and they don't even hide it, man. That's another thing you can find tons of evidence for, but you don't hear about. You have to kind of dig for. Excuse me, sorry. Oh Jesus. The whether it's apps or they did this thing with the Humvee, the military Humvee years back, where they
oh yeah, I saw that.
You familiar with that? Yeah. I forget the exact specifics, but they effectively tricked fucking the American military and the Humvee Corporation into sending them everything they needed to reverse engineer the Humvee, and then they just fucking remade it. They didn't make it look different. They didn't fucking design it. It's exactly the goddamn same vehicle. And oh yeah, China just happened to invent this same thing. It's all the same components and does all the same shit. It's just nobody cares because I believe it was Nixon's approach. No, it wasn't even Nixon. It was, well, maybe it was just like let's treat them with,
kid gloves.
We'll give them the kid gloves. We'll give them the respect and that. With the freedom and free trade and the economy, that they'll inevitably come to freedom, the side of America and the side of just greater freedom and humanity in general, and capitalism, rather, to put a finer point on it. And that was just the assumption, and I think that was I don't remember, in the 90s, I think, when the well, no, I think it goes as far back as Nixon. But so that's just been the presumption all this time. So while China fucking or the Chinese Communist Party has been harvesting organs from minorities and persecuting minorities to the level a certain group of people from Europe back 75 years ago or so were supposedly subjugated to a greater degree, a far greater degree than is even claimed by anyone. Nobody even knows about it, and nobody talks about it because, well, maybe free trade and treating them like grown-ups, even though they're obviously not. I don't know. I'm losing my analogy here, but you kind of get what I hope you get what I'm coming from.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I'm kind of rambling here too. So don't feel too bad. But what I will say is, I think because one of the things that people have said is, well, can't like Trump just go over there and make like a big speech like Reagan did with Russia, where it's like tear down this wall. And the thing of it is no, not really. Although that would be hilarious considering that China has the Great Wall. But the thing about Russia was Russia had Gorbachev, who back during the 80s was basically the one member of the of the party in Russia who was saying, okay, this communist stuff, we've been trying it since like 1900, and it since like 1915, and clearly it's not working. So Russia had Gorbachev, and I'm not sure if the Chinese have their Gorbachev.
They might. That's another thing that doesn't get a lot of press. Because the one thing that everyone that I follow, either on YouTube or in quote unquote print, be it Epoch Times or extensions of that on YouTube, is that the Communist Party has always been about face, which is why they've gotten away with what they've gotten away with for so long, because they play the narrative game, they play the diplomatic game, they know how to manipulate, especially America, but the West in general, with the rise of what is it called? God damn it! Like, what did Jordan Peterson call it? Fucking identity politics. The rise of identity politics and shit. They right into it, dude. They have we have fallen right into it as it's a tactic like right out of fucking Sun Tzu. Let the enemy destroy itself,
Yeah.
kind of thing. You know what I mean? And if they have the ability, and let alone a literal military branch dedicated to subversion on the internet, where most of America and the West gets its entertainment and its news and all of its media, if they can influence that to a wide degree, and to a greater extent, the universities where young people learn about the world, and they can subvert those young people in the West as to what's actually happening. You add all of that up, and it makes a lot more sense than any other narrative that I've heard for the last several years. And I feel really dumb for not noticing it sooner, but
It's
I can't really fault myself, because it's almost impossible to find. You really have to go looking, and you have to know what you're looking for.
it's interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned the universities, because my very best friend from childhood, who I've known since kindergarten, he just graduated recently from CU Denver with a political science degree. And I guess like right around the time he was graduating, one of the professors there, it wasn't one of his professors, but I guess someone on the campus, or like he knew a student who knew a professor who was, I guess, arrested by like the State Department, basically for like trying to spread Chinese propaganda through.
Being on the Chinese Communist Party payroll. That's happening all fucking over the country, dude. That's why the Houston consulate was shut down, because it was literally, in Mike Pompeo's words, a den of spies. Literally, like, all they were doing was recruiting and subverting and paying people off. They're, dude, we could go on China for fucking ever, because they're one belt, one road initiative or whatever, which is just a massive debt trap scheme that they've already caught several countries in. But it's not going to work. That's part of the reason that I think they're fucking that Iron Curtain's going to come down. They're spreading too thin, and God is dropping natural disaster after natural fucking disaster. And thank the Lord, Donald Trump is in the office, and for as long as he's left, he's fucking putting his foot down on the throat, and it's waking people up, other politicians, namely. I mean, because China has become kind of a bipartisan issue. Almost, I mean, maybe not on the Nancy Pelosi level, but pretty much across the board, across the country, there are, people are going, holy shit. Wait a minute, what? They're doing what? So
What?
yeah, I think we're witnessing a sea change, and which is again why I'm confident that I keep calling it the Iron Curtain, but it's, in the 80s, it was like it was a flip of a light switch that, communism fell across the world, especially across Europe and Asia and stuff. It wasn't just, communist of the Soviet Union. It was, several other subsects. It was like fucking overnight. And then the wall fell shortly after. And again, the whole world saw the horrors that lay behind that were hidden. And that was before the age of mass information control, which we are in now. So I think we're in for a much ruder awakening when that veil drops this time than we were even back then.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I said like in 2017, after Trump got elected the first time, like that 2017 was going to be at the start of the 1980s for us, and we're kind of reliving the 1980s right now, and it's kind of strange because in a couple ways we are, not just politically. I mean, politically, in a sense, I guess, yeah, we are, but also like pop culturally too. Like a whole bunch of like, cheesy 80s style action movies like John Wick are, starting to come back into popular culture, and Vapor, kind of the whole Miami Vice thing, and that kind of whole 80s Vapor style is kind of coming back into, play with meme culture a bit. So it's interesting, and I bet if Trump gets reelected, we may have a tear down this wall moment here before the next before this decade is out.
That's kind of my point, or well, maybe not my point, but that's kind of my greater point is, I don't know, man. I have less confidence now than I did in 2016, and I was less political in 2016, just overall, than I am now about Donald Trump and his reelection. Even though fucking Joe Biden, like, how anybody can take that seriously, but. I watched that. I don't know if you watched that interview with I think it was Vice. Was it that Vice interview with that fucking like British sounding dude that was grilling Trump on the COVID numbers recently? Did you see that or no?
I saw. I didn't see the interview itself. I saw some. I mean, I am going to watch it. I saw the memes that people were making of it on YouTube before.
Yeah,
I saw the actual thing.
I mean, I don't know how long the interview is, but I watched like a 10-minute thing, and it did seem edited. So I don't know how accurate it was, but it definitely didn't look great. But it's a little subpar even for the Trump course, because in my opinion, the dude says he puts his foot in his mouth a lot. He says a lot of dumb shit. But it's not, I don't care what he says. I care what he does. His public persona means fucking jack shit to me. What matters to me is the policies that he cares about and the policies that he passed, which I think that most Americans that support him are kind of on the same page. I think you would agree with that. I would think anyway. Do you disagree with that?
No, I would totally I would totally agree with that. So,
Okay, good.
um,
But yeah, so I mean, but you know, he's kind of he has been floundering, man, and it's not. I don't think it's his fault. Generally speaking, the fucking dude has not been given a chance. I mean, fucking Saddam Hussein and Barack Obama, Barack Obama, Osama bin Laden.
uh,
Holy shit! Fucking Freudian slip. Holy shit! No, Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden combined didn't get more negative press than Donald Trump has in the last 4 years.
well, I mean, hey, that actually one of the funniest accidental, slips on the show, and I mean, I'm not entirely unconvinced though that Obama wasn't a terrorist. So, um, uh,
Oh, Jesus Christ, man! I almost died just now. Um, but yeah, no, that's another interesting chart. If you look at like the positive versus negative coverage of Barack Obama versus Donald Trump, even though you know during Obama's presidency we had things like Benghazi and the birth of Black Lives Matter and police officers being murdered in Dallas and you know various other things. I mean, the police officers, I guess, isn't really fair but the things that happened as let's see, an American citizen murdered by drone, a wedding of innocent people murdered by drone. You know what I mean? None of that
yeah.
shit's happened under Trump, but you didn't get any of this negative press. Well, you got some of it from Fox News,
Well, I
I
mean,
guess, but
also that was when Edward Snowden basically, I mean, I remember
yeah,
I remember I got a lot of backlash because I actually kind of admired Snowden, for basically coming out at the time and admitting what we all knew, which was that the government was spying on us. So, um, now I mean to kind of criticize Trump a bit, I will say that I wish he would have a little bit more of a backbone against like Fauci and whatnot, and some of these. It kind of
well,
seems like in regard to COVID, Trump has. Well, let me just put it this way: I I think if I don't think if Trump were facing re-election, I think if this had happened during the second term, I think Trump would be like, yeah, no, Fauci, you're not gonna be telling me what to do in regards to the whole COVID thing.
I don't know, man. I do feel like he's beaten down. I really do. But one of the things that really bothers me about the people, both IRL in real life and on the internet that I talk to, is that are, you know, either tacitly or, uh, you know, profoundly Trump supporters, is you know, Trump derangement syndrome goes both ways, and this is something that's been bothering me lately. Is some of the people that I respect that I like, if I bring up issues that I have with either his behavior or his rhetoric, it's like a knee jerk. I get a knee jerk reaction, even though I'm like on their side, but I'm just expressing like, you know, I don't, man, I don't think this is a good idea. I can't think of like a specific example off the top of my head, but well, again, the masks. I guess I was actually leaning. I was hoping the motherfucker was going to pass an executive order saying companies couldn't force employees to fucking wear masks. Um, Customers, I get because again, having worked with customers in various forms for many years and having a public bathroom, it's like people are fucking disgusting. You can't control the people that come in to shop. You can ask them to put a mask on, but you can't force them. But the people that work for you, there are many, many, many safer more effective ways you can protect the people that work for you other than making them breathe their own breath for 8 hours a day. So when he comes out and says, wear a mask, whether you like it or not, and then follows that up with Ghislaine Maxwell is, I wish her the best. That's kind of,
Yeah, that
you know what I
was.
mean? That's kind of, you know what I mean? That's not great. And, if I want to express that, again, some of the people that I respect are like, wow, you, yeah, but the Democrats, man, but the Democrats, well, fuck, we're not talking about the Democrats, goddammit. Like, of course, you know me well enough to know how I feel about the Democrats and what they're doing generally across the fucking country. But that's not what we're talking about. It's not about and another argument that keeps being made to me that really bothers me is the lesser of two evils argument, which has been made, I think, in politics for fucking ever. Like, oh yeah, pick, no matter who you're electing or who you're voting for, you're picking the lesser of two evils. And I just don't like that fucking mentality, man. Because
I mean,
less evil is not evil. God damn it! Like, you shouldn't be okay with evil because it's less evil than more evil. And being complete. And if that's how you actually feel about what's going on, then you're a fucking pussy. And you need to change. You need to either move to the woods and, extract yourself from society, or do something about it. Say something about it. Talk to people about it. Do something to change it. Don't just fucking sit and go, no, I'm not fucking voting because, or, yeah, I voted for fucking Biden because I hate Trump, or I voted for Trump because fuck the Democrats. Yeah, I mean, if you can't have a coherent thought about these things, I feel like that's the real danger of the internet, man. Like the pack mentality is pushed so much further out than it is, for in real life interactions. You have to interact with people to create a cult, and I hate when you bring them up, but I have to do it now. That's exactly why I have been bothered so much by fucking Owen, because he's using the internet, and has been for years now. He's using it for its worst possible, in my estimation, its worst possible, like, use as a personal endeavor. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about information dissemination. It's not about teaching people things. It's about gaining and exploiting as many people as possible and their ignorance in as many facets as possible. And he's not alone, obviously.
well,
The grift is real, but it's what I fear about the information age, man. As easy as it is to learn things, it's easier to be fooled by wrong things, fake news, quote unquote.
yeah, and it's not just. People think that fake news is just done by these independent, outlets like Breitbart, but no. I mean, fake news is. Big media like CNN and Fox and any of them are just as capable, if not, more so than than quote unquote independent journalists. Now, well, I will say this, like I always try and be, journalistic somewhat when, when I do reports. But this is also largely an opinion show and somewhat of a comedy show, and I try, not to, I try to be pretty transparent with where I have my biases and whatnot, and that's one thing that also bothers me with, again, Owen and, people like Vox, and people who pretend like they have all the answers because, to like satisfy the cult. Like, I'll be upfront with you guys. Like I'm a pretty smart guy, I think, but there's a lot of stuff that I still don't know because guess what? I'm a human being. There's no way I know everything that there is to know about everything. So that's why I like to, promote other channels and other commentators, who know the stuff that I don't know, like.
to be fair, Sam, I think your show has well, it's either evolved or devolved depending on depending on your rubric. But since you've allowed me onto the show regularly,
I think it's evolved. There was a point in time where I think it kind of devolved because I was just constantly covering Owen for like 2 years nonstop on my show, and some people were like, "All right, can you actually cover some actual politics?" And I'm like, "No, but this guy is way more fun to mock than you know whatever is going on in the actual
yeah,
political
yeah,
world."
no, trust me, that's how Sammy, that's how we met, and I couldn't be happier for it. But you
Yeah,
know, there Owen is. I mean, he's a lot of things, but to me, at this point in my life, and it's weird because it was never a chore for me to like make the clips, the shitty videos that I made about him. I watched him for fun. Like it was actually better. It was it was better watching Owen and making clips of him than it is now just like ignoring Owen because I watch a bunch of bullshit on YouTube and there's no focus to it. Whereas when I would have free time before, I would watch Owen, and even if I didn't make clips, I would just watch because it was fascinating to me. And
the
I never really hated him. I really didn't. There were things that he did that I really hated, but I've never wished harm on him or anything like that. He was like a fascinating case study, mostly because uh, you know, I was duped by him ultimately, but I was also there way before he fucking went crazy. But no, to me, he's like, again, he is like, as I just pointed out a few minutes ago, to me, he's like an extreme example. And he's not the only one, but he's just the one that you and I personally, at least collectively, have the most personal experience with as to how bad the internet can go for
yeah
people and how bad the internet can affect people and how people can use it in negative ways. And again, he's not on an island. He's not He's not a special boy like he thinks he is. He didn't make White Claw $1 billion. He jumped on a fucking middle-aged white woman, fucking Hollywood woman booze drink, fucking hype train before the rest of the country and live streamed about it. And that's what he did because he was worried about his girlish fucking figure. And now, 2 years later, his bears are like, you, you, you were ahead of the curve, man. No, he jumped on a fucking hype train,
well well
a Hollywood woman drink hype train.
and see that's what worries me about this whole Patreon lawsuit. Like, I've got to be honest here, and like, okay, so I know I'm gonna get a whole bunch of shit from people on this, maybe even from some people in my own chat, and I would advise you to hear me out on this before you flip out. But I hope that Patreon ends up winning the lawsuit against Owen, and that Owen basically gets blown out of the water, and I will explain why, because people are always like, yeah, but Patreon is big tech, and if I know you don't like Owen, but like Patreon is big tech, and if he can bring down big tech, then that would be great, right? Okay, well, here's the thing. As far as big tech companies go, Patreon, like, yeah, it's, as far as like, I guess fan payment sites go, it's probably like, it's already established. But as far as like the big tech companies go, it's still relatively new as far as the platforms go, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's one of the things. That is a good. Sorry to cut you off, but that is a good bullet point to highlight. Is the number of creators that are just honest creators that have no interest in pushing boundaries or being edgy. They make art or they make fucking cooking videos or goddamn actual farming videos or whatever they make. Or they're, they're YouTube creators that can't get monetized, and they, their money comes through their Patreons.
Well,
That's how.
yeah, and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
what's funny too. Someone actually posted this on the Gamma Secret Kings subreddit, which is hilarious. To shout out to E Scorpio once again.
I was literally just about to say shout out to E Scorpio, Gamma in Chief.
But someone posted a link to in there to this black YouTuber, and I can't remember the guy's name, but basically this guy was saying, similar to what you and I were saying, look, Patreon is not just people who do like political edgelord, internet culture war stuff. Like there are multiple people from multiple, walks of life who have all sorts of interests who are on there. And, like if Patreon ends up getting taken down from this, there are going to be a lot of people who have, started to be able to make, a living for themselves, that are not going to be well off if they lose, if they lose essentially their business, platform now. So,
I was muted, but Warfist just pointed something out in the chat, and I'm a little late to it, but he says because I was saying the show may have either evolved or devolved since I've joined, and he asked are you saying that Apex makes the Whitfield report great again?
Well, sort of. I would
and then he
say.
Said, just kidding. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty legit. I'll take that.
I would say that. I mean, in a way, what's interesting is you helped, but also Owen kind of, in a way, I will say this, Owen did help me with the show in a sense of, Owen showed me what I might become if I let my ego get too big, right? And which is essentially a cult leader. When I call you guys the Savages and whatnot, and, I name myself Savage Sam, I mean, like, obviously that's kind of the name of the show group, but I don't want to start, like, a cult group because I'm me, and, like, I'm not like a great, spiritual advisor, nor have I ever pretended to be one. And I just think that, like, I think Owen started out with, like, noble intentions, but, like, as you know, the big turning point for me, like, I didn't care when he went crazy about the moon, or, or anything like that, or flat Earth, or any of that. That was amusing, and, like, the DZ had already, separated at that point. But, as Johnny has said multiple times, and as I've said, none of us really cared about Owen until he named Johnny and the other gentleman and was saying that, like, someone needs to do something about them. And right. It's like at that point that was when I was like, oh shit, this is what the internet can do in the wrong hands.
That's where I have to agree with you. Well, I mean, I mostly agree with you there, but I agree mostly because, mostly with the sentiment that Owen started with good intentions. Because when I found him, that's what attracted me, and I think most people, and including the DZ originally, to him, is because he was genuine. He was not shy about self-deprecation. and he interacted with the people in the chat, and he was, mostly honest, even in a way that was, again, self-deprecating. And then he started to make money, and he started to get bigger, and the audience started to become an echo chamber. And that's why it's so fascinating to me, because it's not necessarily because Owen is like the worst person on the planet. I mean, he might be, but I don't think he is. I think, generally speaking, Owen has better intentions than he has negative overall. I really do. But he's a fucking idiot, and he's been corrupted and swayed and manipulated by this weird thing that is the internet. And what, like I was saying earlier, it's spread out the ability of people to create bonds, and those bonds are not as real, but they feel as real, and they can be created exponentially across the internet. You know what I mean? Like the whole internet friends phenomena. And for people like Owen and anybody that's a pop, I mean, I guess you can't really count Joe Rogan because he doesn't pay any attention to his fans, which is probably the smart way to do it. But, whether we're talking about Mersh, or we're talking about Owen, or we're talking about fucking Stefan Molyneux, or, I mean, anybody that's been doing podcasting and interacting with their community, there's an inevitable corruption that you can there's at some point in their careers you can watch happen, where they start working for money. It's no different than the popular news media. The only difference is the popular news media is behind the curve, which is why everyone calls it fake news. But all these people on the internet with cameras and microphones and a screen recorder app, or OBS rather, that can, misinterpret or misquote. That's how Flat Earth got started, man. That's why Flat Earth is still a thing, because you can manipulate people's emotions along with data at the same time. And it's not as easy to do that in person, because you can read body language, you can look people in the eye, you can, it's easier to demand things from someone standing in front of you. But since so much is done digitally from however many thousands or hundreds of thousands of miles away, it's a different form of communication. And I don't think, I think it facilitates mental illness, really, ultimately. That's actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's a Joe Rogan quote, that social media in particular facilitates mental illness. Like those that in the real world would be normal people, stick them on the internet, and they're fucking lunatics.
Yeah, well, and it's also like anytime, like, like I'll use an example, because I do follow WWE a little bit, and I follow, it's like, just as like a perfect example, like, Chris Jericho, like, he seems like an alright guy, kind of, publicly, but like some of his fans are really really sycophantic. And same with like any public figure. And anytime, someone is like, oh, well, I've been a fan of XYZ celebrity for, X amount of years, why don't they follow me back? I'm always kind of like, well, they're not obligated to follow you back, or something like that. It's this weird, we've gotten to a point where celebrity culture is, I think celebrity culture is really overrated. And
that's for sure.
And like people think that I started, some of my friends in high school, or I should say former friends, are like, oh, you just started the podcast because you wanted to become a celebrity. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, I certainly wouldn't have, done a podcast, talking politics when I was 14, I would have, probably tried to do like a, gaming podcast or something like that. But
Right.
I don't really have any fans like this now, but I will say that I have had a few fans who have like, written to me and like asked me for like life advice and whatnot, and like sometimes, if I can help them with like a personal anecdote, I'll write back, but most often at times I'll be like, look, I'm not the one to help you with this. So that's why all these motivational speakers, really kind of weird me out a bit. So
Well, I got to push back a little bit on you there, Sam. I personally have never had anybody ask me for advice on anything, and I hope they never do. Please don't. But if they did, with my minimal shit posting presence on the internet, if anybody ever felt, first of all, if anybody ever felt the need to ask for my advice, I would be concerned, unless they were fans of this podcast, where I am actually, less of a shit poster and more myself. But I mean, if people ask you for help, I don't think it's wrong to offer advice, man, especially if you can, sift your way to some understanding of what they're going through in a way that you can understand it and formulate something that you could give them. I don't think that's wrong. But what has been wrong and continues to be wrong about both Owen and several people on the internet at large is offering it unsolicited advice. Those videos that say how to stop doing this, or
yeah,
which I guess some of those may have some merit. I don't know, because some of them are based, depending on the channel and the curator, there may be some actual, psychological basis to them. People like Jordan Peterson, who was a clinical psychologist for a long time. I mean, he became a phenomenon for a reason, and I do think he helped a lot of people, myself included. Even though he's not a saint like many people claim, but he taught many people, again, including myself, a lot of things that maybe they already knew, or at least I already knew, but hadn't conceptualized in a way that was conceptualized by him. So it's not like it's a fruitless well, the internet. It's just so dangerously sparse with real info, with real truth, because once the internet became monetized or monetizable, that's what it all became, man, or most of it. And it's just so hard to suss between what's what. Like, I mean, entertainment is entertainment. You want to pay for entertainment, go for it. But when entertainment shows want to try and tell you the news, then that's people that pay money for that. I don't know. It's just there's so many weird levels to it.
well, as kind of someone who I guess does that a bit on this show, though, I will say this, like I like it. I like it when people tune into this show, but if you're using me as like your only news source, like yeah, I'll admit I'm probably more knowledgeable than a lot of people my age in regards to what is going on, and regards to like politics and current events,
Greater politics, right?
and that's not like a slight on them either. I'm just saying, like, in general, most millennials don't know what's going on. With that being said, a lot of what I do is, news commentary and opinion, and then a lot of it is just joking and, reading the
Right.
chat.
Sam, the difference is you're a news podcast that does comedy.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Where compared to, I think honestly, and I've heard this theory somewhere and I've not been able to find it again. But the idea that Jon Stewart and The Daily Show ruined an entire generation and is actually kind of the breaking point as to where we are now with fake news. Because my generation watched The Daily Show, a comedy show
Oh,
that
mine did
pretended to be
too.
news. That pretended to be news. And they talked about real news in a joking way. And most of it was what would now be qualified as fake news. Like it was reported and talked about ad nauseum every week or every day, I guess 5 days a week, whatever, for years, by an eloquent comedian that made it seem both funny and real. And some of it was real, and some of it was hyperbole based on reality. You know what I mean? So it formed an entire generation's mind around infotainment, you know,
Yeah,
where so the news networks at large saw the appeal to, making stories less than factual or extra factual, however you want to put it, more opinionated and more entertainment focused and less just news oriented. You know what I mean? Because that's more profitable, and it's gone up the scale exponentially ever since.
I mean, I think that the Daily Show might have started out, with the intention of satirizing the news, but I can tell you that, it quickly became the news source for an entire generation, including mine. Whereas, you know, in our parents' generation, like someone brought up Weekend Update, and Weekend Update was a little bit of that, but Weekend Update, especially when Dennis Miller, who was probably my main comedic influence, was doing Weekend Update. Weekend Update was just like a 15 to 20 minute segment of a weekly comedy show on SNL, and that was it. It wasn't a whole There wasn't a whole show dedicated to Weekend Update, entirely either. So
Andy in the chat just pointed out that the term fake news, I don't know, we need to verify this, but the term fake news was coined by Norm Macdonald on SNL.
Yep. I
That's
actually,
true. Right on.
I fucking love. I mean, Dennis Miller and Norm are probably like two of my greatest comedic influences, and I mean Norm is one who they've tried to cancel since this whole COVID thing started. Because
did you see his COVID stand up that he did right at the early stages? He did like a 2-part on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that you and I actually watched it together, and then we had to take it down, and I put that stream on my Josh Who channel, I think, because YouTube took it down. But
What
yeah,
is
that
Josh Who? Is that Joshua Moon? Like, is
no,
that him? No.
no. So the Moon Ninja guy, that is Radically Moderate, who is a streamer whose show I was on last night.
No. Joshua Moon. This is my pre-Owen days shining through. Joshua Moon is the owner and proprietor of KiwiFarms.com.
No,
Who is
no, this
a
isn't.
member of Blood Sports.
I don't think this is the same guy. Josh,
Okay.
I met Josh Who through Davey Crocco, and Josh Who's a guy who like has this video sharing platform called Josh Who TV, who was
Yeah, I got that part. I was just wondering because
so
I just assumed it was the same Josh just because he's like a fucking
yeah and,
internet weirdo.
yeah no Josh Who is actually the one who helped who helped kind of expose the fact that unauthorized was just like a Wix website or whatever. So
Yeah.
but yeah, shout out to Josh Who. So but yeah, I mean I think this whole thing with like the internet, culture, I mean it's really weird too how like I got a comment from from an acquaintance on Facebook, how if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're racist against, minorities. And it's like,
Of course.
and it's like, well, first of all, Joe Biden is the whitest motherfucker out there. Like he's
actually the most racist person I think I've ever seen in public. I mean, who the fuck says that Latinos are diverse in their opinions, unlike black people? Other than people that are actually factually fucking racist. Like,
oh, hang on, Apex. I'm glad that you brought that up because I actually have that clip queued up. Here it's only 45 seconds, but I do want to go ahead and show that for you. Apparently, he walked that back today. Obviously,
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he was going to do that, but yeah, for those of you who somehow didn't see this, here's Joe Biden's most recent gaffe on the, or you know what? I don't think it's a gaffe anymore. I don't think here's his most comment on, black.
I don't like them. I don't like calling them gaffes anymore, dude. Like, cause it like minimizes the significance of what this man is fucking actually portraying.
Yeah.
Every fucking time he's in public. It's not a gaffe. There's some serious shit going on there.
And by the way,
would I take a mental test? Would you take a drug test before you come to work? Are you a crackhead? Are you a drug addict?
With notable exceptions,
who the fuck
the
says
Latino
that?
Community is an incredibly diverse community.
Who the fuck says that to their interviewer?
Incredibly different attitudes about different things.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You go to Florida, you find a very different attitude about immigration in certain places than you do when you're in Arizona. So it's a very diverse community.
So I just watched the clip, and Joe Biden this morning totally disparaged and insulted the black community. What he said is incredible, and I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Biden is, it's funny because people want to always accuse Trump of being a racist, and it's like, okay, what examples can you give? Well, his father, and it's like, okay, well, that was his father, but what about Trump himself? And they're like, meanwhile, like, I can pull out a shit ton of stuff that Biden has said that's racist, so.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I wasn't muted as I was taking a hit of my bowl and coughing while you were talking.
No, that's no problem. The bowl adds ambiance, so. But I also do want you to be aware though, Apex, that Andy is in here. So we have no idea what's going to get clipped and what won't. That's the fun when Andy's random edits is in here.
Listen, Andy's random edits can clip me in any way he wants. I trust Andy, and I trust that no matter what it would be, that it would be funny, and that's my ultimate goal on the internet.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's already put me into an internet war with Merch once, and then with Alan Pell. So, who knows?
I wonder if I could give him some like clips. What do you think would be some good, just like sound bites that he could clip together?
I'm sure he's
probably already got plenty. But
I know that he did go on Pod Awful's stream, which was kind of brave. So,
wait, he went on as a guest?
Yeah, I guess so.
That is brave. That's pretty awesome, though.
He's braver than I would be. So, but Nah, and he's a good guy. He hasn't done. I haven't seen any of his edits in a long time, but he did this one edit of Joey Diaz versus Brendan Schaub that is still hilarious and still makes me laugh uproariously. Of course, anything with Joey Diaz and it is guaranteed to be hilarious. So
Yeah, almost.
So yeah. And I guess he's moving from California too. So did you hear that?
Who's that? Owen?
No, Joey Diaz is moving from
Well, Joe Rogan's moving to Texas, my home state.
Yep, and I guess Joey Diaz is moving back to New Jersey. So I moved a couple of years ago, but who knows? After I graduate from college, I might be moving again. So, but I don't know if I will or where to yet. Maybe to Texas. I don't know. So,
my little sister, who still lives in Texas, she's never moved away from the time we were both born there. She desperately wants to move out of Texas. She wants to move up where I am, either to Illinois or Michigan or Indiana. And I'm like, well, neither one of those three are where I currently live. But if you're going to move to one of those three, you should move to Indiana because it's still, a Republican state and they're pretty. She's like, no. I want to get out of here because I'm sick of my fucking neighbors and I'm sick of. She's my little sister's kind of a libtard, actually, but it's good-hearted though. It's not nefarious, and I know that for sure because she talks about things like the patriarchy and shit that I thought was figured out already. But she makes arguments about women in the workforce and therefore black people in society and by extension other minorities. I lost my train of thought because So What asked me a question. Sounds like shut up, So What? Shut up. That's my little sister. She's dumb, but
someone
all she's missing is this community. She just needs to. I just need to fold her in somehow, and but I can't seem to do it because I'm not good at talking to people about like political things, Sam. I go straight to shit posting in real life. It's weird. I don't really like it. It's not doing me a whole lot of good.
See, I alternate between like three things. I alternate between talking politics, talking about music, shit posting, and then hitting on attractive women on Twitter. So
I do that too. I do. I mean, listen. The attractive women, like that goes without saying. But yeah, so I mean, when people talk to me about this shit, and I'll have a conversation with anybody about anything, especially social or political topics, and if I don't know, I will make it very clear that I don't. But what seems to happen so often is a distortion from like the actual, like the facts, or like what the facts, and it steers sharply often into some emotional realm by my co-arguer or whoever I'm talking to, and from there like a flip switches, or a switch flips, sorry, a flip switches. It sounds like a skateboard trick, but no, a switch flips, and like I go straight to like literally in real life shit posting, and I just kind of, I can't really help it, and it doesn't do me any good, but it's like an instinct to be like, I mean, it's effectively like, well, you're an idiot, when they say something stupid, instead of being like, well, instead of thinking that way, wouldn't you think this way? And instead I'm like, well, you're an NPC, and that's, what, people do not like that term in real life.
Sometimes I will try and like, reason with people, but like other times I just don't have the patience, so I just immediately go into shitpost mode. Like I think I might have told you that there was like this one, chick on my campus last semester when we were still in, allowed to go onto campus. That so this was like early January, and this was like a moderately, I mean, she was attractive. I'll give her that. But I was going to get coffee from the cafe, and apparently I didn't realize this until after the fact, but she called me a racist and tried to spit on me and spit on my jacket. And rather than like getting all upset, I said something like, "Now that's no way to ask me out." So, which pissed her off even more. And I figured out later that she saw like my Trump, like she saw that I had like a Trump lapel pin on my blazer, and I guess that's why. But even so, it's like, geez, you're gonna spit on a guy for that? So
yeah, that's pretty brutal.
My mom was like, you should have smacked her, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, so what? Our good German friend that joined us on the podcast, I don't even know how fucking long ago that was, but apparently he's got a crush on Brittany Venti, and I'm just watching this play out in the chat. She's too young, but she's too young for so what? But still,
Brittany Venti is,
he can simp all he wants.
Brittany Venti is too weird. Is too weird for me. So, but you do you. So,
It's just a joke. Just jabbing.
He's
jabbing at my German friend. He's probably somewhere in my family tree.
I should have fist smacked her. No. I mean, I wasn't going to do that. No, what I should have done, Andy, is I should have let her spit on me, and then I should have like sent her my, and then I should have sent her my dry cleaning bill. That's what I should have done. That would have been more devastating than if I had slapped her. So
you should have handed her 3 different kinds of lunch meat, 2 different kinds of cheese, 2 different kinds of condiments, and 4 different kinds of breads, and say, "Make me a fucking sandwich, the right one."
No, see the types of ladies that I'm attracted to actually like to cook. So,
well, exactly. So they would have looked at you with an eyebrow raised as you were like laying out the ingredients. They would have been like, "All right, motherfucker," and they would have made you the best fucking sandwich you've ever made, and then slapped you after you ate it. Be like, "Don't ever fucking do that again." You know what I mean? So, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm talking shit now.
Yeah.
It's going south, Sammy.
It's 1 a.m. here. This podcast always goes south after 1. So,
Well, it's midnight for me. So.
Oh, so speaking of the podcast going south, you, sir, owe me an apology.
No, actually, what I hope to make you realize is that the apologies wash. But you go ahead. We'll let the audience hear what you have to make me apologize for.
So Apex Gamma has been trying to get me to watch the Netflix series Mindhunter for about a year now. And so I finally got around to watching it, and it's a really good show. But what he failed to mention is that the third season is on indefinite hiatus, meaning it's not canceled, but it's not like going into production anytime soon. So it's
not confirmed.
So Apex sent me on a show that I'm addicted to now that basically is like at a stall, that's at a standstill, and I just, like, fuck you, man. If you're gonna recommend a series, at least recommend like a complete series that I can watch.
See, now, and in my defense, chat and listeners everywhere, is that well over a year ago, when I suggested Sam this show, the second season had just came out. So the idea of a hiatus, the idea of no third season wasn't a thing. That wasn't like a thing. But what did happen, inevitably, is sort of the meme that every time I talked to Sam, on any kind of voice chat or live stream, he was talking about some other fucking show or movie that he'd watched. And so I'm like, you watched Mindhunter yet? Have you watched Mindhunter yet? And it literally, every time I talked to him for fucking months, and he wouldn't watch the goddamn show because he had better things to watch or better things to do. So inevitably, I suffered what he is now suffering whenever they announced the quote-unquote hiatus, which I'm not sure that they're going to come back. But even if they don't, the 2 seasons are good. And again, if you'd have fucking watched the show when I told you to, we could have suffered this hiatus announcement together. But now I am recovered, and I just look back on it and say, you know what? Maybe that's all it is.
Dude,
there's books. There's at least a book, and you can infer what happens beyond those 2 seasons. But
dude, if you and I had watched that show together, I'm pretty sure we could have developed a complete psychological profile on Owen and maybe actually like gotten the behavioral sciences division to look into Owen. Yeah, I'm here.
Did you lose me there?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Because I'm driving because I'm hungry.
Oh, okay. So. No, I was just saying that, had we watched that thing together, you and I could have built a psychological profile of Owen, and then had
that's kind of what I was doing. I just didn't have my fucking. My wheelchair bound knight with swords hanging out poking out his wheels and shit. To protect me and to help me guide me through the pain that I felt as it ended. Nothing came beyond it.
I've started calling Owen Kemper. So, by the way.
Oh, dude, Kemper, the dude that plays Kemper, but not only the character that plays Kemper. Look up the actual fucking footage of Ed Kemper.
I have.
That dude. Oh my fucking god, that dude is that. The actor that played him, the guy that played him, does an exceptional job. Because Ed Kemper is fucking. That is the most normal fucking dude. I mean, I think I've ever seen on like police especially for the crimes that he was, you know, admitted to doing. You know, and he admits in gruesome detail and why he did it and shit. It's so nonchalant. Like, it's not even really creepy. It's like, I mean, it is, but it's like, fuck, dude, I don't even know the word. My vocabulary doesn't extend that far, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's fascinating. Fascinating, I guess, is the best word that you can come up with, which is why the show is good. Because even the dude that plays Charlie Manson, spoiler alert, sorry guys, is the same dude that plays Charlie Manson, I believe, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino movie that just came out.
Which,
so, like, he was like, go ahead.
Which I have not seen yet. I have not seen that
Neither
yet
have I.
either. But I'm going to. So
I haven't seen it yet either, but I just know from researching the show that it was the same actor and that he did a really good job. The other actors in the show really, appreciated his work and whatever. But no, it's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. So I guess Selwa is eating breakfast right now. So and Apex is apparently going through a drive-through. It sounds like.
I
So.
am. I was gonna see. I was gonna get a poll from the chat. Should I order my food muted or not? I mean, why not? No, you know what?
Neri, John Neri wanted once. I once ordered McDonald's with John Neri and Johnny on VC with me, and they were shouting stuff like, "Yeah, he wants a number 2," or something like that. So.
All right. Well, talk to chat for a second.
Well,
I guess, then.
Well, of course, Selwa is drinking his breakfast. I mean, German and Irish are not that far apart, from each other. So, I mean, I'm half Irish, but yeah, we drink our breakfast too. So.
Okay.
So.
What's up?
Not my. Oh, he must be talking to the drive-through people. All right. While we're waiting for Apex to get his food, or you know what, I don't know. Maybe we should wait for his comment on this. Kanye West has been making the news these days as well. For his comments on being pro-life now. So, oh yeah.
Sorry, Sam. Sorry, chat. I'm here. I was pulling between the order window, or like the speaker, like the menu, and the actual window. And there was a human being that works at the truck stop attached to this Arby's, and they did something funny that I had to make fun of them for. That's what you heard me doing, and then I had to mute myself, so that naturally just proceeded to like have a conversation with this person as you're talking about. I couldn't even hear what you were saying because I was trying to be polite to this person that was right in front of me. I'm being rude to chat. And you, sorry, man.
What did they what did the first off, where did you go? Did you go to like, I picture you as an Arby's guy for some reason.
Well, that's exactly where I'm at, but not because I like Arby's, but it's literally the only fucking thing that's around here. Because I live in the middle of goddamn nowhere. It's the only 24-hour place other than the McDonald's that's like 25 minutes away. And I'm not driving 25 minutes for some fucking food. So yes, I'm at Arby's.
Well,
and it's attached to a truck stop.
Well, if you were John Neri, you certainly you would certainly go into you would certainly drive to McDonald's. I don't.
I know, especially if the McRib was available. Apparently, he's a big fan.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think I've met anyone who loves McDonald's more than John Neri. So, he could do a whole show on the Food Network just reviewing the individual McDonald's chain restaurants. That's how much he loves McDonald's. So, and KFC,
right.
and Popeyes as well. Apparently, yes, I can hear you.
Well, you're gonna hear me talk to you. People at the window. Hi. Hello. No. Thank you. Fucking masks, dude. Thank you. Thank you. That's not very entertaining. So, have you checked out any of the?
So I have a question. Did she give you a dirty look for not wearing a mask in your car?
No. If she did, I would get out of my fucking car and I would punch her in the mouth through her mask. I would punch that mask through her face. Thank you. See ya. It would be like Mortal Kombat, like a fatality. I would punch that mask through the back of her fucking skull.
Ooh.
I would.
Yeah.
Not just because she's a woman, but because don't give me fucking dirty looks. I'm not sick, bitch.
I sure as hell hope we don't have to wear masks for much longer. So.
Oh, dude, get used to it, bro. You're gonna be fighting. We're gonna be killing each other. Americans are gonna be killing each other over these fucking masks and the implications of this fucking virus, because it's all of the bullshit surrounding it is real. As real as it is, there's so much more lies and bullshit and manipulation to control people, and Band-Aids. The masks are a fucking Band-Aid. And they're not, you know what? That's an insult to Band-Aids. Because Band-Aids fucking do what they're advertised to do. They seal the wound from the air, and sometimes they've got antibacterial shit in there. So, you'll make sure you don't get a fucking, some kind of...
Yeah, infection.
Yeah, whatever. My words aren't working. But you know what I'm saying? It's mask, again, like I said earlier, companies requesting customers wear a mask is not to play devil's advocate. I don't like it as a customer. Fuck you. But I get it, because we also, those people also clean up human fucking feces off of the walls for no fucking reason, and deal with stolen products for whatever, no reason other than people stealing. But you get my point. People, you can't control the general public, but these corporations and these companies making people wear masks for 8+ hours a day, that without any extra, again, I get it. You could make them do that, but there are extra protections that could be provided, that should be provided, in my estimation. Be that oximeters. They're strapping fucking, goddamn fucking hand sanitizer on everybody. Well, guess what doesn't kill COVID-19? Alcohol. So let's all fucking pretend like this hand sanitizer and these masks are going to help you, when neither of them literally, scientifically, are going to help you, generally speaking. And for sure, 100%, if you've got COVID on you, alcohol ain't going to help you. So, again, it's all feel-good, fucking fluffy bullshit. And it's bullshit. And it makes me very angry because, like, I'm okay with making sacrifices. I wear a seatbelt. I'm wearing a seatbelt right now as I'm illegally driving in my state without a hands-free set. But I do threatening anybody else, although I guess I could hurt somebody if I wreck my car. But the point is, like, I wear a seatbelt when I get in my car. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because it's not only protection for me, but it's mostly protection for me, but it's also a law. But I do it because it's not because it's a law. Although if I see a cop without my seatbelt on, I'll probably slap that motherfucker on because nobody wants to get in trouble. But the idea is the point, again, that I'm trying to make is I'm willing to make sacrifices for in some small ways, but I think it's just being pushed too far. And my elders, when I was growing up, told me that seatbelts were one step too far, to quote that Owen Benjamin clip channel. What's up, One Step? No.
Nice reference there, tying it all.
Nice name drop, right?
Tying it
nice
all.
Name drop, right?
Tying it all together. So.
Yeah, I know, but again, the point is, like, I don't think it doesn't. There's lots of science behind seatbelts. There's lots of research and development behind seatbelts. Masks are, they're a medical tool, generally speaking. And the only research that there's been on cloth masks are shed negative light on them as far as, like, preventative measures for the people wearing them.
Here's the thing. I really wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind the masks so much if people weren't so, like, fucking self-righteous about them.
I was at Home Depot just yesterday, actually, and I ran into one of my friends, which is weird because, as I just mentioned, I'm like fucking 30 plus minutes away from anything. The Home Depot that I was at was 30 something minutes away from my house. And one of my friends that lives near me that I hadn't seen in a while happened to fucking just pop into this huge goddamn store. And we ended up at the same. I'm like, holy shit. So I thought he was wearing like a red shop rag as a mask. And he's like, oh, it's the sleeve of a t-shirt I had in the fucking truck because I have to wear a mask in here. Like, so we're standing there talking on this aisle that's like fucking 200 yards long. Nobody else is on it. Really, just talking about things in life and bullshit and catching up. And from the far end walks this little old woman. And I'm watching her because she's walking from my buddy's backside, the angle I'm looking. And she slowly walks up and she gets about 4 or 5 feet away. And she goes, excuse me. And, like, my buddy was right in the middle of a sentence. So I didn't, she does it again. She scoots a little closer. Excuse me. And he turns around. We're like, yeah. She goes, could you guys pull your mask up, please, so I can walk by? And my buddy looks at me and he almost like a cartoon character with his eyeballs, or eyelids, pulls his mask up. And I go, I got a better idea. And I held my breath. And she just looked at me. And I held my breath for like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 25 seconds. And my buddy starts laughing. And she just turned around and walked away. Next thing I know, we laughed about it because I'm like, well, what's the difference? What the fuck is the difference? You're going to walk by me. You don't want me breathing as you walk by. How about I just fucking hold my breath? How long is it going to take you to walk by me, bitch? So, but again, she didn't like that. So she turned around and she went and talked to an employee who came and said, hey, I'm just talking to you because that lady said that you like held your breath, which honestly I think is kind of funny. But she's probably standing behind me, isn't she? And she was standing at the end of the aisle, like 75 yards away, watching him talk to me. He's like, I can't make you wear the mask, man, but she's really mad, and I need to make it look like I'm doing my job. So I fell right into character. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. And I like leaned over his shoulder. I like put my hands up in like a prayer thing. I'm like, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to offend you. You know, and like the way that I felt so bad for that dude, because I just imagined what he had to deal with. Because it was like 2 or 3 minutes before he came walking back up. Because again, this is my friend. I hadn't seen him in a while. We were talking there for several minutes, and no fucking buddy else walked down the aisle. Because guess what? Nobody's shopping in store. Everybody's doing curbside pickup and shit. So, you know, I was also in Guitar Center by myself, and they wouldn't let me play guitar without a mask on over both my mouth and face. No customers in the store. Nobody anywhere near me. I was in there for 5 minutes, more like 10 minutes. But I found a guitar that I wanted to play, an amp I wanted to play it on, asked for a chord, and they're like, please keep your mask up, please keep your mask. I'm like, that's fine, that's fine. So I sit down, so again, fucking 50 plus feet away from anybody with no other customers in the store, and I'm fucking trying to shred on this guitar. And the lady walks up, she's like, you have to keep your mask up, sir, or I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm like, I hand her the guitar, and I walk the fuck out. Fuck off. I won't. I was planning on spending a few $100s in here, but I'll buy it online instead. Fuck you.
You know what's weird is like I have one of those phones that you can like you can use like your Face ID to like do payment processing, which I like to do because instead of pulling out my wallet and trying to fumble with my credit card and whatnot, it's easier for me just to do the pay thing on my phone. And but because of the whole mask thing, using Face ID is like you can't do it. So I had to go to the store to get like a cable for my iPad. So I went to the one that's literally like right up the street by me. So I went in with my mask on, got the cable, went to check out, and I briefly had to pull down my mask to use the Face ID for the checkout thing, and I put it back up. The lady in front of the register was glaring at me and I'm like, what? I had to take it down for like 5 seconds so I could do Face ID to pay for this thing. And she's like, you should have just entered in the password. I'm like, it was 5 seconds. What's the big deal? So
yeah, bitch. What are you fucking sticking your mouth up to mine and breathing out of my mouth? Like, what the fuck is wrong with people, dude? Like, I don't understand. I mean, the problem is I do understand, but the extreme to which it's gone again is just it's a fucking fluffy.
Well, there's a term.
Band-Aid, man.
There's a term that I kind of created that I like to use now. So all these people who are obsessed with like other people wearing masks, they're doing what I like to call moral fagging, where they're where they're acting like like high and mighty moral faggots.
I get it.
Like trying to tell the rest of us what to do. So, the other thing too is, since Apex, I don't think you can see this because, well, actually, you know what? Hold on a sec. I might be able to change that. Yeah.
Dead air. I'm eating this fucking goddamn Arby's, so you're gonna have to entertain the crowd for like a minute, man. Oh, wait.
So,
What is
um, so I'm broadcasting my screen now, so you might be able to see. I don't know if you can, but right. So, folks, for those of you who are just listening right now, I'm holding up my mask. So this is what I've decided to do. Since they're making us wear masks now, I wear them into stores, but I don't wear them all the time. But when I do have to wear a mask, I have decided that I'm wearing the American flag mask, which, in this particular shade of the American flag mask, it's a military, American flag mask, which, gets, like, a lot of these Karens pissed off. Why? Because it's pro-military. And also because this is also, like, a pro-cops lives matter. So, it pisses them off, and a couple of people have, said that, oh, I don't like your mask, you shouldn't wear it, but I'm like, okay, well then I won't wear it, then I'll just take it off. But,
well, I walked into, Target, the same day after leaving Guitar Center, being really pissed off. Well, not really pissed off, but just like really frustrated by the way just all of it was going. I walked into Sam's Club and they didn't say a fucking thing to me. Walmart, on the other hand, right down the street, was like, "Yeah, I can't come in without a mask." Like, you're for real telling me I can't shop in here without a mask? I'm like, well, no, I can't tell you that, but you can't come in without a mask. It's like, so get the fuck out of my way then. I mean, I had so much trouble getting into Walmart without my mask on. Honestly, dude, though, like, I really don't mind wearing it. But at that point, after I had left Walmart and I'd already been to Guitar Center and I went to Sam's Club in between, where I had like a relief where nobody gave a fuck. There was a bunch of people wearing masks, but nobody gave me no fucking looks. Nobody gave me a hard time. I went into Target and they were like, "You can't come in without a mask." There was like two fucking, they were like security guards. They weren't security guards. They were just fucking Target employees, but they were standing right the fuck in the front. "You can't come in without a mask, sir. You can't come in without a mask." Like, "We got a mask for me?" "No, sir. You gotta have a mask." Okay. So I'm back to my car where I have my Guy Fawkes mask that came with my V for Vendetta graphic novel that I bought like either the same year. I think it was the same year that the movie came out.
cool.
It was like a promotional thing. So I've had the thing for fucking ever, and I keep it in my car, kind of like hanging off of my passenger seat. And it scares the shit out of people because they think it's someone in my passenger seat, right? Well,
that is fun. That is fucking based.
I put that on, and I also have an American flag bandana that is in my glove compartment. I didn't realize I still had, but it just worked out so perfectly that I put on my Guy Fawkes mask, and then I put the bandana over the Guy Fawkes mask's nose and Guy Fawkes mask, nose and mouth, and walked into Target. And they gave me a hard time. So I cussed out the two, impromptu security guards, and I walked out. I wanted to video it, or at least take a picture, but I was I'd been shopping, I'd been doing shit all fucking day because I'm in the process of moving and stuff like that. So I had no energy to shit post. I was shit posting IRL, but I couldn't.
A storm of wrenches in the chat goes, "They don't ask to see your fucking receipt on the way out anymore." So
yeah. Right. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, so it's just a fucking joke.
Yeah, well,
it's just a joke, man. It's all a fucking...
I mean, and I brought this up the other day to some friends, but like to all my fellow single friends out there, do you realize how fucked we are now that we have to wear masks out if we have to, like, go on dates and whatnot, or even, like, meet new people? we're not going to know what each other actually look like until, you know.
No, Sam, I think you're looking at the glass half empty here, buddy, because what you're going to figure out, or what we're going to figure out, and anybody else that's even remotely based, is anybody that insists on wearing a mask, especially after like a brief general conversation, come on in, is not worth your time. You know what I mean? You're going to be, you know what I mean? So it's almost like a litmus test. Are they wearing a mask? Will they take it off? Then fuck off.
And see,
you know what I mean?
And see, people think that Apex is a pessimist, but he's actually more of an optimist than I am. So, yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
True, it is true. I'm a hopeless romantic, man.
Yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic too. Emphasis on the hopeless.
Sammy, you're a simp, bro. But it's all right.
I am a simp, so
I'll simp for you, bro. But that's it.
I am a simp for one. I'm a simp for one woman and one woman only. So, but you know, that's your nor.
Nancy Pelosi?
No. Check my Twitter timeline. You'll figure it out. So.
Okay.
Maybe you won't. So, but.
Well,
But no.
I'll just say Nancy Pelosi again. So.
Yeah. No. I want to touch Nancy. I want to touch Nancy with a 10-foot pole. So, or fuck, even
I would fuck Nancy with your dick, boy.
By the way, that. By the way, her plastic surgery has really, yeah, it has not held up well at all. So, but yeah, man, I just eventually people are gonna get tired of wearing masks, and all hell is gonna break loose, and it's not gonna take very long. I doubt we even make it into 2021 before people say enough is enough.
Well, that's the thing, though, man. Excuse me. I think that a lot of people will. I think a lot of people who are on the fence about it are going to get sick of it. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Mouthful of food. But the people who are on it's going to be another wedge, man. Like the wedge is just going to go deeper. The people that are on the fence, these overreaches of power by both corporations and the government in general, forcing people or feigning the force of, because that's another thing that happened in my state. They announced that you were going to get penalized. There was going to be you were going to get a misdemeanor up to like a $1,200 fine or some shit if you didn't wear a mask in public. Like the cops would be called. Well, right off the bat, almost every fucking precinct in the state was like, nope. Publicly, they were like, nope, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And then the district attorney and the state prosecutor conferred together and wrote a letter to the governor and was like, you can't do that. It's gonna be bad. That's like a breach of civil liberties. You can't fucking do that. So, there's various constitutional issues with that. So they backed off, but they did the backing off very quietly. They announced the punishments very, very publicly. Like it's fucking, even now, there are signs in front of buildings that say, wear a mask at the governor's request at threat of misdemeanor or some shit. That's not true. They pulled that shit back quietly, and nobody even knows that. Because very loudly, they were like, oh shit, you're going to get a fucking ticket if you don't wear a mask in public. I don't feel sick. I don't think I should wear a mask, but I don't want to get a ticket. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't think I need to wear a seatbelt. But I'm also not going to get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt, you know, plus who's it going to hurt? Masks are not the same thing. People keep using those fucking things as comparisons, the seatbelt and the mask. They are not the fucking same thing. Not even close, dude.
Well, what's really kind of scary with the whole mask thing is, I was thinking of reading this reading this email I got, but I can't because there's no way for me to blur out some confidential information. But long story short, my college, the University of South Florida, recently did like a whole. They sent out like a big newsletter about how they're going to like be reopening this semester and whatnot. And long story short, like whenever you are on campus, you have to wear a mask for the entirety of while you're there. And I'm like, well, what if you have like a 2-hour class or something like that? I mean, wearing a mask for like 30 minutes, let alone 2 hours, is really hard. So,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, it can be really hard to breathe in those things, and I guess
try doing it for 8, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what really bothers me. That's the thing. That's my main complaint about the masks.
Well,
I don't think it's right. I don't think. I think there at least is some ambiguity that can be, or at least some credit that can be given because of the rapid change. Like the rapidly changing issue and all the misinformation, both specifically from China, but from all its subsidiaries, both here and abroad. Companies are trying to protect both themselves and their employees and their business models and everything. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with the cold corporate model in almost any way, shape, or form, but I have to play devil's advocate because I kind of agree with capitalism. Like there's a lot of good to be said about it in general, but my point though is lost because I'm trying to do too many things at once here.
Well, the other thing too is the thing that really pisses me off is the letter didn't say this, but it might as well have. It said there will be severe consequences for students and faculty who fail to follow, the guidelines we have set. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can get suspended or, expelled from campus for, not wearing a mask? And if so, can they actually do that? Like,
no,
I can understand.
No.
I can understand, like, expelling someone for, like, academic dishonesty or whatever, but imagine getting suspended or expelled from a college because you don't wear...
Sam, that's just like what I was just saying about the misdemeanors in my state. They're scaring people into thinking that they can get into trouble, and their language, they're wording things in a language that makes people think that they can get into trouble. Holy fuck, can I get expelled for not wearing a mask? Not in this fucking country. They may try, but they'll lose fucking millions of dollars because at least now, as it stands, there's still laws that protect you against that. But if they convince you and all of your peers that they can do that, then they can quietly change that law and nobody's going to fucking know any different, much less complain about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Period.
yeah. Eric brings up a good point. Just put on a mask because a stranger told you to, and let a stranger shove a needle in your arm. The most politically divided times. Yeah, I mean that. Now look, a mask I can deal with, but no one is shoving a needle in my arm. So. Oh, and my parents aren't conformists either. But Eric, Storm Wrenches, and Josh have showed up. The trio of degenerate danger zone peeps have showed up.
3 points of the triangle. The 3 points of the triangle are here. Now all we need is ladies to form the exclamation point.
The three points of the triangle, except for Johnny's not here, and Eric has it like Eric hasn't proclaimed that he's gay yet, but we know that he is.
Wait, he came into the chat. He entered the chat by saying, "Let's all touch tips." So,
well, of course he did. So, I mean, like I said on Twitter a few days ago, I'm not sure that evil Eric is actually evil. His name should actually be Horny Eric instead of Evil Eric. So, but, and Apex keeps muting his mic.
Just popping in real quick.
So,
I missed what you said there, man.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Yeah. So
okay. Sorry.
You're eating and smoking and doing all sorts of stuff tonight on stream. So
I always do, Sam. I mean, I've done push-ups on stream. I do what the chat requests, and sometimes my belly requires food. And right now, it needs beer, which was all the way downstairs, and there was other people that were in my way that I had to, communicate with. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit happens, Sam. I don't have a studio. I don't have a mic. I don't have a fucking... I yell into my phone, as I was just describing to Andy. He's like, eating on fucking mic. That's what killed Opie and Anthony. Fuck you. I'm yelling into my phone and driving around and doing drugs. And
I wish... Now, see, in a way, you're more of a free man than I am, because like I'm tied down by this studio. But if I could set up a rig to where I could, I mean, I used to be able to stream to YouTube on my iPad, and then and do this show, and then YouTube changed something to where I couldn't do that anymore. But if I could, I would be running to the fridge every 5 minutes to get myself a new beer or something like that. So, and
that's pretty much what I was doing. Just now, so
Andy, I can fucking yell into the mic too and get real close to the mic too as well.
Oh, Sammy, that's very sweet of you. You don't have to do that. Let me be the heel of your show. Let me be you're the hero, man. I'm just the fool. Let me be the one people make fun of. I'm easy to do. It's easy.
No, you're honestly, in all seriousness, Apex, you're one of the nicest people that I've met on the internet. So,
well, don't say that. Don't say that, because, I mean, I appreciate that, but
I mean, you're an asshole for recommending Mindhunter to me and then failing to tell me that. Oh, by the way, there's no upcoming season. So, but
yeah, I mean, I guess to be fair, I could have told you that.
Yeah.
But it had been so long since I watched it, and it literally became a meme to be like, Sam, you watch Mindhunters yet? You watch Mindhunter yet? Have you watched Mindhunter yet? Every time I talk to you, that I forgot. It was just anytime you brought up a show It wasn't like every time I talked to you, but anytime you brought up watching something, I would be like, "Oh yeah, did you watch?" You know what I mean? I haven't watched that show since I recommended it to you.
You should probably rewatch it, because then you'll be like, "Oh my god, we can psychologically analyze Owen on so many levels now." So, but
Sam, you must have met a bunch of assholes on the internet.
Yep, I did. Best decision of my life. So. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not muted.
all the rest, all the nice ones are the ladies who support the group. The rest of us are well, that's true. We don't have enough women here. Do we? That's another thing. I always get told that I don't have enough women on stream either.
Yeah, you should get more ladies. You should get Donnie. Or did you have Donnie?
I did, and it was good. I actually behaved myself on that stream. So
all right.
I mean, I've been
Austin's fast, fine, man. You know, room next. That's one thing I got right.
I've been trying to get some of my other lady friends on here too, but they're busy, so for whatever reason. So and Josh, I do wear skinny jeans on occasion, so, but
fucking no, I can't, man. Can't do it.
I wear skinny jeans because I'm skinny. That's why. But,
well, I do, man. But I mean, fabric can't be touching my skin like that on any part of my body. I don't wear like stupid tight shirts. I won't wear skinny jeans. In fact, my socks have to be like 4 sizes too big, stretched out. They can't like be touching me too tight. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The thing it is like I'm a skinny guy with extremely broad shoulders, so which is weird. So a storm of lunches just called me queer. Well, you know, I've said before and I'll say again, I am only gay for Johnny Arcade. So and
those shoulders are intimidating, Andy says.
Yeah.
You know, you should take your shirt off and show the chat just how intimidating they are.
I mean, if they want that, streamlabs.com/the Whitfielder report. So $1 donation TTS, $2. So
we got some new fags in here. They don't know about the shirtless Sam.
Yeah, we have some regulars here who I don't even think know about that whole saga. So
self-immolating. It's true.
So
it's what we do here. We're pissed. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
The celebs are cancer, so burn yourself down. Just have fun, and you know.
See, I
can't speak. I won't burn Sam down. I just burn myself down in his presence, so that hopefully my light shades him from harm.
See, I'm self-immolating though too. So. Yep, and I do see what you did there, Warfist. So stream
that's good.
Stream
wax, yeah, perfect.
Well, if we want If we real
Let's
want to
get some
stream
more.
it,
Hey, we got Josh. Look, we got Josh in here. We got a Storm of Ranchers in here. We got Warfist in here. We got Andy in here. How many people can we get in this chat with you?
I
Who
don't.
wants to join?
We don't have an ASMR portion of the show, so. Well, I mean, Apex was eating a little while ago on stream, so I guess that was ASMR maybe.
That would be. I think that's mukbang in the parlance of our time. ZoomWex.
There's ZoomWex. Oh yeah, that's another app you want to uninstall since the Chinese are watching that too. So. ASMR. Oh no, not here. Storm of Wrenches. So I like the ladies. So like I said, none of them have volunteered to come on the stream in a while though. So I did have like one more story in the stack, I guess.
Bring it.
Which is Kanye West is making semi-headlines again for speaking out against abortion.
Yeah, I saw that.
And in all seriousness, I think that's awesome that he's doing that. And
yeah.
Now
I watched Tucker's clip on it.
Yeah, that's actually the one I'm gonna play here on that because I think it's amazing. It's a great one. So I guess we'll kind of end the show on this.
Wow, I can finally see the screen share at the bottom there, dude.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I can see you in real time, but I can actually see like your whole screen share. That's dope.
Cool then. So I don't know if this will play the audio for you though, but we can try it. Let me switch here. So, all right, folks. So this is Tucker's monologue from 2 nights ago on on Kanye West being the most compelling voice against abortion in quite some time.
Discussion, of course, the riots in the Pacific Northwest and around the country, foreign policy, Russia, China, North Korea, pipelines, all compelling, all things that are covered widely in the news. But at the same time in this country, there are a lot of things that don't get a lot of coverage. At this moment, the most compelling voice against abortion and Planned Parenthood is not a Republican. The most widely heard Christian evangelist in America is not ordained. Instead, he is a rapper married to a Kardashian, who, by the way, everyone says is crazy. Kanye West is running for president, but that's not really the headline. The headline is that on core conservative issues, not political issues like legislation before the Congress, but on foundational questions about life and children and what happens when you die, no one with a national platform has been more honest or sincere or effective than Kanye West has been, maybe in generations. It's all pretty shocking, really. Talk about an unlikely messenger. But it's real. Check out West's Twitter feed if you haven't seen it. Not everything he says is conservative, far from it. Not everything he says is even intelligible. But when West talks about his faith and about the gift of human life, you start to ask yourself, why aren't there any elected Republicans who sound like that? They say they believe the same things, but if they actually do, why don't they talk like Kanye West does? And the answer, of course, is because they're afraid to. But West is not afraid. He doesn't have to be. He's too famous. He's made too much money. He sold something like 150 million albums over the past 20 years. And really, it's hard to cancel a guy like that. So what does the left do in response to Kanye West? How do you make Kanye West shut up? The short answer is you can't, so you work to discredit him. You go ad hominem. You ignore what he's saying. You attack him as a person. You don't engage with his ideas. You know you would lose if you tried that. So instead, you try to keep people from listening to him. It's an easier job when you're dealing with less famous people. Thanks to our centrally controlled internet, the left can usually silence dissent in an instant with the press of a button. But with prominent wrong thinkers like Kanye West, censorship requires a finer touch, more artistic flair. When the author J.K. Rowling had the gall to note that biological sex is a physical reality, not just a state of mind, Google couldn't simply wipe her off the internet. She's J.K. Rowling. She created Harry Potter. So the left had to destroy her more methodically. One British news site compared Rowling to the anti-Semite Richard Wagner and then dismissed her as, quote, deeply unpleasant. So multiply that attack by hundreds of stories, and over time they are confident, and maybe they're right, that no one will ever listen to J.K. Rowling again. In Kanye West's case, they decided to attack him as mentally ill. You hear that a lot now, but it's a relatively new tactic. It was just a little over 4 years ago that CNN published a piece about Kanye West. They highlighted his most famous moments, like the time he interrupted Taylor Swift at the MTV Video Music Awards. CNN described all these incidents as, quote, controversial. But there was no mention of Kanye West being a danger to himself, much less mentally ill. No, just controversial. Not a problem. And then West appeared to say something positive about Donald Trump, and everything changed in an instant. Kanye West became a babbling lunatic, the kind of guy who pulls imaginary insects out of the air and soils his own pants. A total nutcase. Watch.
Kanye West's event on Sunday, and you saw,
right.
At least I saw a man clearly in trouble.
We met David Bowen, a Democratic state representative, earlier this summer. Bowen telling CNN, it's sad to see a popular music artist like Kanye be used as a pawn to trick his own people and fans.
So new questions this morning about Kanye West's mental health after this tweet storm and so-called campaign rally.
You see that ignorance and asinine thought and behavior has been something that's risen to the top.
Whether a clearly vulnerable Mr. West is being used to try to siphon votes away from Joe Biden.
They're sad. They're concerned. He's in trouble. Oh, it's all so fake. The feigned concern, the oily fake empathy. Kanye is vulnerable, right? These people are actually worried, but they're not worried about Kanye West or his family. They don't care about them. They're worried about the threat that West poses to Democratic Party orthodoxy and therefore to their power. They don't say that out loud. They're liars. So instead, they continue to play the role of psychiatric nurse. Here's the guy whose job it is to get drunk on camera on New Year's Eve, letting Kanye West know that he's embarrassing himself and his dead mother.
What I saw was a minstrel show today. Him in front of all of these white people, mostly white people, embarrassing himself and embarrassing Americans, but mostly African Americans. And now all of a sudden, he is the person who represents the African American community.
Oh, fuck off, Don Lemon. When did you become the leader of the African American community, you dipshit? I mean, where the hell did Don Lemon even come from? Like, how the hell is this guy even a cable news anchor? All he does is get righteously indignant every day, and well, not even righteously indignant, just indignant, period. And spew stuff. So, if anyone's an Uncle Tom, so what? It's not Kanye West. If anyone's, an Uncle Tom or self-hating black man, it's Don Lemon. I said what I said. So, yeah, there's that.
He doesn't. This was an embarrassment. Kanye's mother is rolling over in her grave.
All right.
He's defiling.
That's good stuff. So, what do you think about that, Sam?
I mean, honestly, dude, I'm glad that Kanye is speaking out against a lot of this stuff, and I think it's very telling that Don Lemon, a fellow black man, is criticizing him for
Don Lemon's been doing that for years, man. I remember when somebody made a comment about him not being able to read on a panel, and Don Lemon lost his shit. He just laughed his fucking ass off. That was somewhere around 2016, 2017 when Kanye first endorsed Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is no different. It's actually less. It's lesser, I would say, personal attacks on him than it was back then.
And look, I mean,
it's more subversive, I think. Like they're straight up attacking his mental health now instead of being like, oh yeah, haha, he's fucking Kanye, he's crazy. They're being like, he needs help. I'm worried about him. We're all worried about Kanye. You know, it's taking on a different tone. But it's the same shit.
They say this. I mean, I had a lot of people saying the same thing about, you know, me too. Actually, like every single left winger in my family. Not that I have that many left wingers or liberals in my family, but every single liberal in my family during the 2016 election was saying, Sam, I'm worried that you're, you know, I'm worried that you're supporting Trump, and I'm concerned that you're watching, you know, Milo, you know, my Yiannopoulos, or I'm worried that you're watching Ben Shapiro and all these, you know, radical right-wing voices. So that's actual concern trolling, not what, you know, not what Owen thinks concern trolling is. But.
Right.
The memory of his mother.
Well, it's two for you.
Yeah.
One for me. I've been up since like 5 this morning, and I got to get back up at like 5 this morning. So I got 4 hours to sleep. So I'm gonna do that. Thank you as always for having me on. Thanks, chat, for everything. I don't know. Are you gonna keep going, Sam, or you want to close the show out?
No, I think we're just about done here. I think that you know, I think we had a good run. We went almost like 3 hours tonight, so I've got to wrap this thing up anyway before you know, so I can actually upload the audio version of this. But anyway, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. So
thank you for having me. As always, it's always a pleasure. I love talking shit to you, man.
I love talking crap to you too, and the chat. So
and the chat, yeah.
And
the chat is the best. The chat is the best.
Yeah,
the chat is what makes the internet worthwhile.
So
I don't care what chat. I don't care what chat. All chat makes the internet worthwhile.
So what goes? Don Lemon is the Jesse Smollett of CNN. So
that's true.
That's true.
No, even crazy drunk Germans get it right once in a while. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yep, that's very true.
Kidding still up. I love you, man. I love you, and I love you too, chat. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening to my bullshit. Go ahead, Sammy.
Yep. So, well, another successful week, you know, here on the Whitfield Report, and don't worry, I'm gonna start like uploading, you know, smaller videos and maybe doing some other streams throughout the week. Just to let you guys know, Scorpio and I have been talking about doing like another stream together, maybe doing like what is a gamma, you know, stream, kind of breaking that down more. And I know that Jesse Spots wants to collaborate with me too, so there will be more streams maybe this week. I don't know, but
wait, time the fuck out. Did you just say that you're bringing Scorpio on a stream to describe what a gamma is?
Well,
when your co-host
is
the apex gamma. I'm not even going to be included in that conversation.
Well,
you don't think my presence on this planet and perception of the gamma race matters, Sam? Is that what you're telling me?
Well,
I'm just a fucking dancing pony for you.
Well,
a pony that dances on two legs. That's a thing, though.
Of course, all gammas matter. So, but
no bullshit. Apparently, the apex don't mean shit.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I love Scorpio.
Well, see, I don't.
You can't define me.
You
can't put me in a box.
I don't even picture you as a gamma anymore, though, Apex. I see you as an apex,
bro. That's the point, though. Is I am. That was the whole point of the name. Is I am gamma. So, the definition of gamma is me, which is a lot of bad things. And a lot of which Vox wasn't wrong about, but he was mostly wrong. More than he was right.
But you're not quite a gamma because from what I'm told, you have a. No, I'm not gonna go there. So
No, I don't know where you're going with that, but I don't like where it was going, so don't go there. The point, though, is gamma's made up. It's a made up thing. So used as a derogatory, my whole intent was to make it not derogatory, to like maybe even bust down Alpha and Bravo, break the whole thing down, because gamma encompasses all of those things. It's all of the best of all of those things and some of the worst of all of those things. It's harder to define, but at least in my opinion. But that's why I am Apex Gamma, because I'm kind of a piece of shit, but I'm also not a piece of shit. I'm also pretty good.
Well,
I don't know, man. I'm lost. I should have fucking hung up like 5 minutes ago. Why am I still here, Sam? Why'd you let me stay?
I'm just
kidding.
If you're a piece of shit, though, that's setting the bar pretty high, because I've met some real shitty people in my life.
No, that's that's just self-deprecation, man. That's one of the key features of a gamma, keeping yourself in check and not letting yourself be deluded by people telling you that you're things that you don't believe that you are, or that you aren't, or could never be. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, well.
Oh, you're so special. Fuck you. No, you're not. No, I'm not. I'm a human being. Might be, special, I guess.
I have a publishing house, and I live in fucking Spain, and
I built my fucking shitty chicken coop with my 90-year-old father-in-law. I didn't do anything. Look at my off fucking kilter goddamn shed, my wax shack. That's fucking dangerous.
I sit on a creaky ass throne in Spain and like mock people for their physical appearances, even though I am also short and balding. So
balding, motherfucker. That dude is a cue ball on fucking half of a cue stick, with the other half's poking out of his upper half of his cue stick.
You know what pisses him off, in all seriousness, from what I understand, is if you compare him to Moby, he fucking hates that. So although to be fair, I would hate that too, because Moby Moby actually has fucking hits. So yeah.
Hey, in all seriousness though, Scorpio runs the Gamma Central Station Reddit, the Gamma
Secret
moniker.
Kings.
That's it. The Gamma Secret Kings. The Gamma's in the Secret Kings moniker.
He's a Mexican.
While adopted early by me, has taken on a much greater context, based generally around his subreddit and the activities of it. But I would very much like to push back, or at least be a counter voice in that fucking discussion, because I have a feeling that Gamma is ultimately going to be defined as the negative that it was intended, which was the opposite of my point.
Well, no, we're gonna have a discussion on what a gamma is, and also, which I mean, we're taking it, I think, as like a positive, but and I was actually gonna ask you to come on to that too. So
you just dropped it on me live instead of
we'll get a whole.
I'm having Scorpio on to talk about what gammas are. Hey, my co-host Apex Gamma doesn't know shit about it though. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. You gotta go to bed for real.
Here's the one thing that you are not, though. You are not a grifter, which is what we're also going to be talking about. So,
well, you can't put those. You try putting those two in the same category, and I'm driving my happy ass to Florida, and I will fight that fucking Chariours, swords and all.
I mean, I kind of want you to come to Florida, but not to fight me. I mean,
well, I don't want to fight you either, dude. Those swords are sharp. I know that.
But
and those caltrops, I think they're called. I couldn't even chase you, man.
Yeah. So.
All right.
But anyway.
All right. Much love, chat. Much love, Sam. For real, I gotta fucking go.
Yep.
Love you guys. Good night. Thanks again for having me. All that good stuff.
All right. Later, Apex. Ladies and gentlemen, Apex Gamma. Follow him on Twitter at Apex Gamma. And, folks, that'll do it for me, here as well. So I want to thank you all so very much for joining me here tonight, wherever you are in the past, present, future hour, if you're listening to the podcast. Thanks for listening. Be sure to hit that like button. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, if you've made it this far, then please leave us a 5-star rating and review. And I want to thank everyone who showed up in chat tonight. Big shout out one last time to, let's see here. It's going to be a large list. Let's see. Andy, Warfist, Apex, obviously, Joshua Rogers, Evil Eric, So What, Annabelle Rankin, Storm Wrenches, Sawson showed up here, Two for a bit, Davey Crocco popped in here earlier. We've had a bunch of people in here, so anyone I missed, I apologize, but I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. And I'll be back later this week, hopefully. So thanks for listening, guys. From all of us here at NGC Studios, have a good night. God bless. God save this great nation. And as my friend John Neary likes to say, God, freedom, legacy in that order, and I will see you on the next show. Thank you very much, and God bless.